guys, Willie here with W.T.F car reviews, and today we're going to be reviewing the 2024 Chevy Camaro 2SS.
And a big thanks to Zach at Furman Chevy in Brandon, Florida for helping make this review possible. I'll leave a link to their inventory below, and if you're looking for a new car, SUV, or truck in the Tampa area, I would definitely recommend checking these guys out. And as for Zach.
And as most of you guys probably know by now, the Camaro's been a performance car sold by Chevy since 1967, ending its first run back in 2002 after 4 generations, and brought back in 2010 for the 5th generation. The 6th generation Camaro that you see here was released in 2016, and for 2024, this is the final model year of the Camaro, at least for now. The 2024 Camaro is available in 12 trims, including the new collector and garage editions, and available in 3 power plants, ranging from the 3.6 liter V6 we just reviewed on this channel, all the way up to the monster supercharged 6.2 from the ZL1. We reviewed a ZL1 last year, hopefully get our hands on another one this year for 2024, and this is the 2024 2SS with a naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8, same power plant as my 2021 Camaro LT1, with a $47,000 base price. What else do we get for that money? Let's jump right in. So we mentioned a $47,000 base price. That's a similar pricing to a 1SS or the 1LE package. The 1SS is essentially a more beefed up LT1 that gives you nicer tires and a nicer front end, more upgraded cooling, without giving you the leather, the heated and ventilation that you get in the 2SS or the digital rear view mirror. So you gotta prioritize what means more to you. If you're more performance oriented, you'd way rather have a 1SS or the 1LE option. But if you're a daily driver, this is something you'd be driving every day and probably never gonna take to the track. This 2SS is probably the one for you, because you'll get more plush interior materials, nicer quality tech, while still giving you quite a few performance upgrades compared to, like, say, an LT1. But here, for the 2SS, we get full LED headlamps for the high and low beam. It's a projector bulb with an LED daytime running strip. Additional running strip right down below, massive functional airflow. It's not quite as aggressive when it comes to airflow as a 1LE edition. The 2SS is also available as a 1LE, but then remember, it's gonna be $6,500 on top of what you're already paying with the 2SS. We get a black bow tie up front. It's not a float tie like you get from a ZL1, but overall, I'm really liking this front end styling. I used to not be the biggest fan of a SS style, especially when I got the LT1. It was right after they had that center bow tie, when they would put this Chevrolet bow tie right over here for the bottom part of the front end. I really was not a fan of that look. So that was another reason why I was more in line with an LT1. Of course, that and the price. The front lip that we get here, it's a body color front lip, not nearly as aggressive as what you would get from a 1LE edition, but still pokes out a lot more than what you would get from a factory LT1. We get the hood scoop 2, or heat extractor, whatever you like to call it, for the 6.2 liter V8. All V8 powered Camaros get this heat extractor. We get these black stripes too to contrast this nitro yellow metallic paint color. And this metallic paint color seriously pops in the Florida sun. I'm usually not a big fan of yellow paint colors, but honestly, if I was buying a 2024 Camaro, I would be between either this nitro yellow metallic, the radiant red metallic, or even the summit white. Those would be the 3 options. I prefer all 3 over the red hot that I had on my personal Camaro. But we mentioned the black stripes. One thing I don't really like about the black stripes, they definitely contrast the front end nicely, but we reviewed a convertible on this channel about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, and one complaint that I had with the black stripes is because of the convertible, you can't continue them onto the roof. Well, this isn't a convertible, and they still don't continue them onto the roof. I kind of wish they had these black stripes continued up top and leading all the way out flushly out rear. Very nitpicky complaint, but I would personally leave the black stripes off the option list for that exact reason. The wheel and tire setup is also beefed up compared to my 2021 Camaro LT1. We get just about the same size front brake caliper, but we get the Brembo's out rear too, which we'll check out in 1 second. The wheel and tire setup, these are 20-inch rims wrapped in Goodyear Eagle F1 asymmetric run flat some performance tires. The dimensions up front being 245/40 R20, so just about the same dimensions as the LT1. They just give you factory some performance tires on the SS. But since they are an offset setup, they're 275s out rear, you're not gonna be able to do any tire rotations. So once the fronts wear out, you gotta replace them. Once the rears wear out, you got to replace them. Whereas with the LT1, you can do tire rotations, but you're compromising about 30 millimeters of width for the rear tires, which is definitely going to hurt the traction for the LT1. We get a red, white, and blue Camaro emblem with some shiny chrome outside of it. Body color mirror, and from this angle, this paint color is beautiful. We get blind spot monitoring on the glass too with the 2SS. The 1SS does not get blind spot monitoring. All Camaros get smart access for the driver and the front passenger. The rear wheel and tire setup, we mentioned that it's an offset setup. It is still a 20-inch rim wrapped in a Goodyear Eagle F1 asymmetric run flat tire. But the dimensions back here, as we mentioned, are 270, 535, R20. So the 275 wide tire should put the power down a lot better than the 245s that come factory on the LT1. But we'll see if it puts the power down better than the 255 Firehawk Indy 500s that I had in the back of my LT1. One huge upgrade that I see in the SS compared to the LT1 is poking right at you. It's the dual piston rear Brembo brake caliper. The LT1 just had a single piston brake caliper, which didn't really bother me all that much, but it wasn't even painted red. So my front caliper was red, the rear caliper just looked like a regular caliper that you get off of like a Chevy Equinox. Out rear, I really like these smoke taillights. My Camaro LT1 did not get those style taillights either. We get rear parking sensing, Chevy bow tie, LED third brake light, and the SS signature rear spoiler. The 1LE, if you go for a 1LE edition, it also has like a deck lid duck style spoiler. I'll leave a picture right here, show you exactly what it would look like. For the regular SS, that's the spoiler we get. Shout out Furman Chevy. They have a Furman Mazda license plate bracket. I guess they ran out of brackets, but shout out Furman Chevy and Brandon, Florida for helping make this review possible. We get the active quad exhaust tips too, and this sounds amazing with the 6.2 liter V8. It sounded amazing with the 3.6, but with the 6.2, it's a whole nother level. And speaking of that, let's fire this 6.2 liter V8 right up and hear how she sounds. All right guys, that was the sound of the monster 6.2 liter pushrod V8 sold by GM for the 2024 Camaro 2SS. And it sounds incredible, cranking out a ton of power at 455 horsepower, 455 pound-feet of torque. The horsepower figure may not sound like a lot because like the Scat Pack 392 is cranking out 485 horsepower, and the new Mustang 5.0 with the active exhaust is cranking out 486. So both numbers are up compared to the 455 that we have here, but the Scat Pack Car and Driver tested the Scat Pack at about a 4.2 second 0 to 60. They tested the new GT with the active exhaust at a 4.2 second 0 to 60. The Camaro SS with a 6.2 liter V8 by Car and Driver was tested at 3.9 seconds 0 to 60. So out of all those three power plants, yes, this doesn't have as much horsepower, but it's the only one of those three to break a 4 second 0 to 60 time, so it is a true performance monster. We have a Chevy Performance badge right in front of the radiator and an additional strut tower brace connecting the two strut towers together. We already have braces connecting the strut towers to the chassis and additional supports in front of the radiator, which hopefully you could pick up on camera. So that's technically 5 strut tower braces here. So the handling should be incredible. And we get even more braces if you were to go for a 1LE. I appreciate the hydraulic struts, but since my LT1 had hydraulic struts, to be expected, but the previous generation Mustang, all the way up to the Mach 1, didn't have hydraulic struts. So in general, I just really prefer the Camaro over the Mustang. I prefer the Camaro over the Challenger. A lot of people I've talked to prefer the Mustang and Challenger simply for the added space, but from my experience, both of those vehicles are absolutely tiny. So if I'm getting a tiny little car either way, I'd rather get the one that's more performance oriented and more fun to drive. But as far as luxury and interior quality, let's take a step inside and see what we get with a top luxury 2SS trim. So just like my LT1, the frame of this door panel is hard plastic, but up top, we get this super gushy soft leather stitch trim, making it a lot more comfortable to rest your arm out here, especially if the windows are down. The rest of the door panel, again, it's hard plastic. Down here, same materials as my LT1, 2-window auto one touch, LED light strip, booming Bose premium audio system, trunk release, a little bit of storage, and an additional storage pocket for this little grab handle area. aluminum door handle, lock and unlock, and 2-person memory seats. We have a Camaro nameplate as we step inside, heated and ventilated front seats, red SS badging, gray contrast, and some perforation with very solid bolstering. If you go for the 1LE, you'll have even more aggressive front buckets. But for a 2SS with heated and ventilated seats, these front buckets are still more than aggressive enough. They're fully adjustable seats too. We don't get lumbar control, but you can recline, drop, lift, and slide the front seats. And taking a step inside, we can really check it out. So foot on the brake, engine start, stop. Whew. And everything fires right to life. But first thing we noticed is the steering wheel. It's similar shape to my LT1, but the materials for like the 9.3 and 10.2 area are a little bit different. We get perforated leather, but other than that, it's the same exact thing. Flat bottom, and it says SS. The horn area is rubberized. The horn itself, loud and aggressive. People should be definitely getting out of your way. With the 2SS, we get forward collision alert and a heated steering wheel. Same cruise control settings. You can skip the songs, adjust the volume, and adjust this infotainment control on the right side. You can also access the voice commands, hang up and answer the phone calls. The infotainment adjustments, right now we're looking at a digital speedo, trip A, trip B, fuel range, remaining oil life, tire pressure, and a timer. We can also alternate right and left. On the left side, we have our information, performance pages, audio, navigation, and phone, all heads-up screens. My personal favorite to look at all times would probably be the digital speedo, so as soon as we get back, we will leave it right over there. Cool. On the left side, we have a tach that goes to 6,500 RPM, 200 mile an hour speedometer. It's a completely different gauge setup compared to my LT1 with a larger LCD screen in the center. Here, we have our oil pressure, coolant temperature, fuel level, and a battery voltometer, all heads-up screens in the gauges. The stocks have a very satisfying click. We get auto headlamps, no auto high beams, or rain sensing wipers. I would expect rain sensing wipers on a 2SS. The heads-up display is adjusted with these buttons, information and brightness control, tilt and telescoping steering wheel. Hopefully you get a good look at the pedals and hood latch release. The dashboard, just like my LT1, all hard plastic. Same stitching too for the front part of the passenger area. Engine start, stop. We get a larger screen here. My LT1 had a 7-inch touchscreen. The 2SS comes standard with the 8-inch, but the LT1 also had a tech package, and that included the same exact touchscreen. We'll press OK, check it out. Continue. Here we get just about everything that we had on my LT1. We still don't get navigation as a standard feature on the 2SS. We get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so no, navigation isn't really necessary. It would just be nice to get with a sports car approaching $50,000 for the base price. Down below, we have our shortcuts, home, volume and skip, and back. Dual zone automatic climate control with heated and ventilated seats. That's a huge thumbs up though for the price point. Hazards in the center. The gear selector controls the 10-speed automatic transmission. There's also an optional 6-speed manual. And if you're really going for the performance aspect of it, we mentioned earlier about the performance-oriented aspect of this car. If you're more performance-oriented, you'd probably rather have the 6-speed manual. But if that's you, you'd probably also rather have a 1SS with a 1LE package for the money. People who prefer the features like the heated ventilated seats, digital rear view mirror, Bose sound system, they'd probably rather have the automatic transmission for the convenience aspect. But speaking of backup camera, it is a really high resolution screen, guidance lines, trajectory, and we get rear parking sensors. Throwing it back into park, we return right back to the home screen. Traction control you can disable. If you press it in a certain way, you can get competitive mode, which does a perfect balance between turning off the traction control and leaving it on. The drive modes, we are in track mode. We'll start the review off in track, transition into sport and tour just to see what the differences are. And we also get snow and ice. But for now, we'll start it off in track. Electronic parking brake behind it, 12 volt right next to it. Nice spot for a radar detector. The center armrest, it's just as hard as my Camaro LT1. I kind of wish it was a little bit softer, but it breaks in over time and it becomes a little bit more usable. You also get some leather stitch trim for your knee will often hit. 2 cup holders with interior illumination. The back cup holder will fit up to a 24-ounce bottle, while the front one may squeeze in a 30-ounce. We mentioned the digital rear view mirror. You can turn it from digital to old school with the flip of this flappy thing, and we get 3 adjustments for the digital rear view. The interior lights are LED, OnStar, voice commands, and SOS, and that's about it for the front seat of this 2024 Camaro 2SS. We're not gonna hop out back. You can take my word that there's literally zero space back there. You have to pull this front seat up quite a bit to allow someone my size to be comfortable in the back. And 2 people my size, someone sitting in the passenger seat and someone in the back seat, both passengers will probably be equally uncomfortable. So if you're buying this car, I'd recommend not putting full-size adults in the back seat. Take it from an ex-Camaro owner. But for this 2024 Camaro 2SS Coupe with the nitro yellow metallic, jet black interior, 6.2 V8 with direct injection, made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Standard features, you guys can pause, take a look. It is loaded from the factory with standard features. $47,300 for the base price, 10-speed auto for $1,600, $1,000 for the dual mode exhaust, $470 for the black metallic rally stripes, which I personally not get if I was optioning out this vehicle. $450 for the strut tower brace, looks pretty cool, probably a little bit functional. $400 for the nitro yellow metallic, and it is a must-have feature. If you don't like the nitro yellow, I'd still recommend getting some type of premium paint color, because for the Camaro, they look a lot better. $400 for the red brake calipers, $300 for the 20-inch 5-spoke carbon wheels, $200 for the red seat belts, $150 for the all-weather cargo mat. Totals us out at $49,445 for the total options, $52,245 before destination, after destination totaling out at $53,840. So we are getting up there in price, more than $10,000 more expensive than my LT1, about $15,000 more expensive than my LT1. Are we getting $15,000 more worth of vehicle? I guess we'll find out during the test drive, but for now, that's about it for the inside and outside of this car. I'll try to squeeze this camera back here so you can see the overall space of this back seat, but there really isn't a whole lot. We'll check out the cargo space real quick, see how much space is offered back there, and if I didn't mention, the shark fin style antenna holds your digital rear view camera. So underneath, there's a button to shoot open the cargo space, and compared to the convertible we just reviewed in this channel, this cargo space is triple, quadruple the size. However, compared to the rest of the segment, the Mustang has a much larger opening and the Challenger had a way larger opening. So actually fitting stuff in here is a little bit more difficult compared to the competition, but the overall space that you actually have in here, it's competitive with the rest. You can also fold the rear seats down, squeeze something a little bit larger, but with the size of this opening, you're really limited on what you can actually fit in here. But you don't buy this vehicle for the cargo space, but if you need to carry, say, a Costco box, the box will fit in here, but you have to angle it upwards in a way that if you're overflowing your Costco stuff in the box, some of it may spill out. We can shut this trunk right up though. Hopefully you can still hear those rumble and exhaust tips. It sounds really, really good. I really love the look of this vehicle with the black wheels, red brakes. It reminds me a little bit of my LT1, but with a way more premium paint color and a way more premium interior. Performance-wise, let's take this 2024 Chevy Camaro 2SS out for a drive and see what it's got. All right, guys, now we're just about seeing everything we need to see with the inside and outside of the 2024 Chevy Camaro 2SS. Let's take it out for a drive and see what it's got. I'm not going to use the POV camera for this one. I want you guys to see how hard I get thrown back into my seat. My first impressions, though, we're just starting off in track mode. My LT1 did not have track mode. It stopped at sport. And what I noticed is the steering is a lot heavier than my LT1 was in sport. It's not a lot heavier, but noticeably heavier. As far as the suspension, we don't get the Magna ride here, but over the bumps, about the same as my Camaro. We'll try one more speed bump. We'll slow down a little bit more, see how it would be the way that I would drive it. This would probably be the speed that I would hit it if this was my car. Feels fine. Definitely doesn't feel like an S-Class or like a pickup truck or anything, but it feels very solid for a sporty vehicle. We'll try one out right here off the line, just getting in and on the gas. Yeah, so it didn't put the power down perfectly, so we're not going to be doing that in this video. Let's save the tires for the potential owner of this vehicle, but it is quick. Off the line, it put the power down just as well as my LT1. My LT1 had upgraded tires though, but my upgraded tires were 255 wide, whereas these upgraded tires are 275s. So that being said, it's only fair to assume that my Firehawk Indy 500s were just simply a better tire than these Goodyear. Second gear, it pulls really good in second gear. And we'll try to demonstrate it a little bit more in track mode, because in track mode you get more crackles and pops than my LT1 did in sport mode. Make sure we're good. The ride quality, it's not great, but for a sports car, it's definitely good enough. I had the Camaro for almost 3 years, and at no point did I think that the ride quality was unmanageable. Solid amount of crackles and pops. over here, try a second gear pull. On the gas. And listen to these crackles and pops right here. That actually wasn't that impressive. Hopefully we'll get something a little bit more impressive throughout this drive. First gear. Good Lord. Yeah, this thing is fast. Through the roundabout. Oh, it can handle too. Wow, guys. And through the bumps, it keeps its composure so well. Throwing it in. Steering feels amazing in track mode. Like amazing, 10 out of 10. Like BMW M, this feels better than BMW M steering. We'll try one more first gear pull. Throwing it in feels pretty good. And on the gas. Oh my God. Alright guys, we don't have to beat it up a whole lot further, but as you see, it doesn't put the power down as well as my LT1, so I would recommend upgrading these tires. However, one thing you must know, since there's not a lot of cargo space back there, we don't get a spare tire just to fix a flat kit, but we do get run flat tires to offset not getting a spare tire. You replace these tires, you're no longer going to have run flat tires. Therefore, I'd recommend having some type of backup plan when it comes to a spare, because you get a big enough nail through the tire, you're going to get a blowout, you won't have enough time to get to a tire shop, you're going to either damage the rim or you're going to have to end up getting a tow. So if that's not something that you're looking for, make sure you explore some other options. Maybe you can replace these tires also with run flats, but from my experience of run flat tires, they're usually just not as grippy as they would be versus a similar tire that isn't a run flat. We'll try it out real quick in tour mode, just see what the differences are. We're not going to test it out in sport, I don't really think it's necessary, and we'll take it out of the manual shift modes and see how it is. The throttle gets a lot less sensitive, like noticeably less sensitive. The ride quality is the same thing. We don't get the magnet right here. It is considered a different suspension. On the window sticker it said performance suspension, but it really doesn't feel any different than the LT1. I know it's supposed to be a little bit different, but trust me, it's really not. About half throttle. It actually feels a little bit less powerful too. That was over 4,000 RPM. I was expecting it to put me in the seat a little bit more. So track mode really wakes this thing up. You get full 10 out of 10 throttle response, you get full 10 out of 10 shifts, and you get full 10 out of 10 exhaust. Here, it still sounds good, but it's just not nearly as performance oriented. So in that case, let's throw it right back into track, take it out on the highway, open her up a little bit more, and then wrap things up. But so far, this vehicle is awesome. On some rougher pavement, still feels solid. Back in the manual shifts. Really can't complain, guys. This thing is sweet. We can take a step out onto this multiple lane highway. Not going to open her up too much, but about half throttle. Well, third throttle. Gets to highway speed really quickly. And on highway speed, it's pretty quiet. My LT1 had a weird wind noise in the windshield where it sounded like a swirl at this speed, and this does not have it at all. Let's try a little highway pull, second gear. There's the crackles and pops. Oh my God. Yeah, guys, this thing. Holy shit. Sounds like gunshots firing off behind the vehicle. Good Lord. We'll try out a real world turning radius test. One more time, starting off in first gear. We don't have to beat it up a whole lot further. Good Lord, this thing is awesome. If you're looking for a performance car, you're not looking to spend more than 50 or so thousand bucks, either check out the 1SS with the 1LE package, which is an even more performance-oriented monster than this, or check out the 2SS, which is still a performance monster, as you guys can see, while giving you all the luxury options and features that you can possibly want or need. If that's what you're looking for, guys, I mean, this video should speak for itself. I would definitely recommend checking out the 2024 Chevy Camaro 2SS or LT1. If you want to get the bare bones, check out the LT1. If you want something more performance oriented and a little bit more option packed, check out the 1SS. If you want the full out Camaro without getting the 650 horsepower monster power plant, check out the 2SS. I promise you, you won't regret it. And a big thanks to Zach and the rest of the management and staff at Furman Chevy in Brandon, Florida for helping make this review possible. I'll leave a link to our inventory below, and if you're looking for a new car, SUV, or truck in the Tampa area, I would definitely recommend checking these guys out. And as for Zach, and huge thanks to all of you for watching. I had a great time making this video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much. You guys know the channel is just not possible without you, and I really appreciate the constant support. But again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Leave a like too, it really helps me out the YouTube algorithm. That's how these videos get promoted to new people. Leave a comment, let me know what you like, let me know what you don't like. Leave a comment, let me know if there's any specific cars, SUVs, or trucks you want to see reviewed on this channel, and I'll definitely try getting those videos for you ASAP. But other than that, again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope all of you have a great day.